Hello, I'm Samantha Nolan-Smith, and this is Lessons in Visibility. In this show, we ask what can be learned from the two faces of visibility. The first involves stepping forward and choosing to be seen and heard. The second opens you up to new ways of seeing and hearing the world around you. Welcome to the show. Hello, it's lovely to be with you. In a previous episode, you heard me speak about being sustainably visible to your students or your clients. And this one is about adopting a structure to ensure that you're consistently and sustainably visible to the people you're trying to reach. So the people who are in your community who aren't in the inner sanctum of your paying students and clients and customers. And that structure is something I call the 3x3 visibility matrix system. You'll hear me also call it the 3x3 system or the matrix system that I've developed to support entrepreneurs, not-for-profit, founders, creatives, freelancers, and people working to heal the planet and its people. Let's get straight into it. You may want paper and a pen for this episode. You don't need it. You might just want to listen to it, but you might want to write the system down. We start with three key subject areas when it comes to visibility. They are awareness, value, and connection, and specifically raising awareness, communicating your value, and then building connection. Then within those three focus areas, there are three key behavioral elements to explore. One is strategic thinking, one is healthy visibility habits, and one is block clearing. So how does this matrix fit together? Well, within each focus area, raising awareness, communicating value, building connection, we ask the same set of questions. The first is, what is my strategy? The second is, what habits do I need to build or eliminate in order to implement my strategy effectively? And the third is, what blocks do I need to clear in order to be sure that I follow through and not get stuck or sabotage myself? So let's run through this one at a time using the example of raising awareness. The first question to ask yourself is, what strategy am I going to employ over the next 90 days to raise awareness about my business, my brand, or my organization? There are so many things you can do here, from promoting your podcast to advertising to pitching yourself for a big conference that's coming up. So many different ways that you could do this. And the key thing to remember there is looking for the way that suits you best. What is your natural way of being visible in the world? So that's in no way an exclusive list, and I'm not going into that in this episode. What I do want to do is highlight the number one trap that I find people falling into. And it's this: confusing taking action in the business with sharing that action with the world. And so I have often in the past asked people, what are you going to do to raise awareness about your business? And they'll talk about creating an opt-in. And then I'll say, okay, so far that's great to have an opt-in. And where's the awareness raising piece? And they'll be like, oh, yes, I have to share it. Yes. You might have done amazing work, but it's not awareness-raising work until you tell people about it. So the action here is, yes, to create the content, but the awareness-raising action is to have a strategy about how you're going to tell people about that content. So that's step one. Step two is to ask yourself, what habits do you currently have that might get in the way of implementing your strategy well? Let's say many people have a habit of procrastination, for example, or others have a habit of starting something but not following through. Or there are habits of trying too many things, becoming overwhelmed, or overcomplicating things and not being able to see the wood for the trees and never getting anything finished and shipped. You want to identify one habit each time you work through this system and then work on changing it. We have a program called Women Speaking Up. It's a group coaching and leadership development course. And inside that, we have a program on habit change so that you can learn how to do that well. But we also have live workshops which employ neuro-linguistic programming techniques to support you in changing the habits that will otherwise block your implementation. And then the last question to ask is, well, what blocks might be getting in the way of me raising awareness? And this is where we dig into questions about your own experiences of being visible, particularly as a young person, but certainly not exclusively. And if you're studying with us in a program like Women Speaking Up, for example, you are guided through a series of questions to dig out awareness-related blocks. Some of those include, for example, how you were praised as a child or not, how you were celebrated or not, what you were taught about being boastful. There are many potential layers to explore there, and it is useful to be taken through coaching exercises and queries and so forth to help you unearth those. That's one of our areas of expertise at the School of Visibility. And in the live workshops inside Women Speaking Up, for example, we do clearing work to release those limitations and free you to become more visible in a way that feels easy, joyful, effortless. So that's the 3x3 visibility matrix system working through one column, which is the awareness column. Then you take that same process for communicating value and for building connection. And of course, with each of those, there are different strategic considerations to consider, different habits to look out for, and different blocks to clear out. So you can literally lay this out in a table format, and you can very quickly identify where your problems are and what you most need to focus on in order to get your visibility efforts on track. And then by applying that 3x3 system, what it does is it stops you from learning a new strategy, trying it out in your business, finding it doesn't work, wondering why, perhaps beating yourself up about it, and then either giving up or trying another strategy and repeating the process over again, all of which is highly frustrating. But when you apply the system, you can see, oh, it wasn't the strategy, it was my habits, or there are actually some blocks I need to work on. Or perhaps they're doing fine and actually when you've dug into those, you feel really good and then you realize, oh, my strategy's wrong. So that's how applying something like the 3x3 matrix can really help you to approach visibility in a holistic way, but also get very clear in your own thinking about where you need to focus your efforts. So if that sounds like something that's useful to you, that's what we teach inside Women Speaking Up. You learn the fullness of it, you apply it, and then you start integrating it into your business operations. And then you've got that as a core business tool for the rest of your days. So if you'd like to learn that system and start applying it in your business, I'd love to have you join us. Come on over to Women Speaking Up. The link's in the show notes. We're welcoming in a cohort for the second half of 2024, and I'd love you to be a part of it. And in the rest of this season, I'll be digging into some of the lessons that arise as you're working through the 3x3 system. I look forward to sharing them with you. Thanks for listening to Lessons in Visibility. If you'd like to connect in other places, come on over to theschoolofvisibility.com. And you can also find us at The School of Visibility on Instagram, Substack, Facebook, and Threads. Lessons in Visibility is produced by the School of Visibility on the land of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people. I acknowledge the peaceful legacy of custodianship that tens of thousands of years of coexistence with the land has bestowed on us all. And I note the visibility journey that remains unfinished. Voice, treaty, truth.